Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I want to say it's Monday, but it's really Tuesday. So sorry about being a little bit late. I had a class that ran over, and then my internet did not want to work. So I had to switch to just taking the Wi-Fi off my phone. But anyway, I'm going to keep it a short and sweet message for tonight. I know it's later than usual. Hey, Mary Kay. So just as you come on, I'd love to hear how your weekend was. You know, what was, as some of you already shared, kind of like what was the best part. But if you haven't already, you can share what the best part about your weekend was. I know we switched things up a little bit this week. I'm still recovering from running this half marathon. Oh my goodness. I definitely know what I will do better the next time if I decide to do another one. But anyway, I'm kind of was thinking about tonight's message and really was going to talk a little bit about, finding peace in the present. And but I think I'm going to add a little bit of something extra in there too, because I just, like I said, got off of a really good class. It's like a coaching class, and it's something that I have seen that I have been struggling with in my own life lately. But then I also saw, just a peer of mine in this class was going through the same type of thing. And I just thought, man, this is something that can strip people of peace too. So we're going to dive into that too. But kind of what I wanted to do before we get into the message is really just kind of recap, because I know that there are a lot of new faces since we started this back in the beginning of November. And so just a reminder to you, if you're new, welcome. But you can actually go over to the units section of this group, and you can start from the very beginning and just click on the first message and then the second. And there's some files that are there to support you, because really we talk about your peace is stripped when you don't know your identity, you don't know how God sees you, but then also in our relationships, when we don't necessarily see how God sees other people in our lives, right? And so we've been doing some tools to kind of help that have built on top of each other along the way. So like I said, if you're new, you may want to go back in some of your spare time and just take a look at those. Even if you're not new, sometimes it's good to have that refresher. How many of you feel like maybe you need to go back and do a little refresh on that wheel of life? I know for me, it's all the time. I feel like maybe once a week I can, start to get derailed and lose track of those, those top three values, those top three priorities. And so sometimes I have to be okay, let me circle back around and get to better planning and, really putting those first things first. So those are all different tools that are available to you to support you. Here we are, we're over halfway through, y'all. I can't believe Christmas is just in a couple weeks. Hopefully that doesn't strip anybody's peace here. But I am excited. Today we actually had a baking day. So I was actually going to do baking day the day that I posted on our Advent activities. And I was just still so very tired that I didn't do it. So we worked on some of that today, made some goodies with the kids, and it's amazing how long that takes. It really took so long. I was not expecting that. And we only got through half the goodies. So what is your favorite thing that you make? I know we make sausage balls and we make those Oreo truffles. Oh my gosh, they're so good. It's the Oreos with the cream cheese, and you roll them into this ball, and you can dip them in white chocolate or chocolate. But I'm always up for some new recipes. So if you have a favorite recipe, or you just want to tell me what your favorite snack is, and I can pull up the recipe. What does that go to when you have your holiday baking that you either love to make, or you love it when maybe you don't like to bake, but maybe you love it when somebody else bakes it? So I'd be curious to know what those are. So you can put those in the comments. But let's go ahead and get into our message. So talking a little bit about just the simple pleasures. And I'm loving this journal, which Sherry, you should be getting yours soon. I know you won that, but it's the Colors of Christmas journal. It's a devotional prayer journal, but there's a whole section on peace. Hey, Stephanie. And the verse for this particular day that I was journaling was Matthew 5:5, and I'm actually going to go through all of that here in just a minute, but the particular verse was, "Blessed are the meek or the humble, for they shall inherit the earth." And it's a story about a gentleman that was like struggling to make ends meet and had kids, and so he had to say no to a lot of things, going out with friends, expensive gifts, all these different things. But what I love is, because he was in a financial bind and couldn't do what maybe he had done in years prior, he actually really took that time to be more present, because a lot of times that's what's free, right? It's no cost to be present. And so he started to just spend more time with his kids. They baked and they listened to Christmas music. And he said that he unpacked some books and movies, and the family, they just spent like hours just cuddling and watching Christmas movies. And his 7-year-old said, "I like this Christmas." And, the dad said, "Me too." And how many times do we forget that? Like, I feel like the closer I get to Christmas, the more and more I need these reminders, because it's so easy, no matter what you tell yourself, like if you create a budget or whatever, it's so easy to still get caught up in like all the consumerism and wanting to have the perfect Christmas card and the perfect this and the perfect that. And I know I have been guilty, like I'm doing this group and I have been guilty of all of those things here recently. And so I just feel like we can never have enough reminders of really just, I know we hear it all the time, that presence over presence, like being present over presence, like gift presence, but it really is so true. Hey, Mom. And so, the question that was the journaling question around this was, are you at peace with where God has placed you? And so that's kind of like going to be the action step for this week. It's really just because I know you'll have enough on your plates already. We're getting close to Christmas here. Some of you are probably trying end of the year. You may have a lot of like things on your, for your career. My mom's moving closer to us. Woohoo. So, whatever you're going through, I know you have a lot going on, but that's a great question. That's a really good question to be asking ourselves this week. Are you at peace with where God has placed you? And we talked about this like probably last month, a little bit about the different seasons that we go through, right? But when I read that today, it was something that I knew I really personally needed to hear, was just being okay. Hey, Pam. So, just being okay in that season and where he has placed us. So maybe you're like the story that I was just talking about with Mark. Maybe for you, it is a financial difference in your life. So maybe, you're having to adjust and things are a little bit more humbling. It's a humbling season, right? But how can we be more present and how can we be more at peace to really know that it's not about all those other things. It's not about, the consumerism and all these things that we can make the holiday season about. And actually what I loved, and I don't know if she's going to come back on here like live or if she's going to catch the replay, but Joy, I know y'all have seen Joy post in here a few times, and she actually went live on her personal page. I happened to catch it yesterday. And so we're just going to recycle each other's stories. But it was really neat because she shared about how, she was in this group, like the Peace Please group, and, just talking about how she really knew that God was walking her through a season of peace and like needing to be more at peace. And so she just said that in her church service, even they said, no matter what you're going through, whether it's your finances, your relationships, your career, any area of your life, like even in your walk with God, that if you are not experiencing peace, it's because you're not fully trusting him. So there you go, Joy. Like we're just recycling each other's words back and forth. But I love that so much. And it was such a reminder that I needed to hear, is when we focus on him being in control, then that's when we get that peace. So as you're asking yourself that question, are you at peace with where God has placed you? Well, we can all, and that might take some more work and reflection, and, it's going to look different for everybody. But when we ultimately can get to that answer and saying that, you know what, I'm focusing on God being the one that's in control. It doesn't matter what my bank account is. It doesn't matter what's going on in my marriage. It doesn't matter about this diagnosis with my health, all of those things. When we focus on the fact that He is truly in control, it's the only source of peace that we will get. And so we can answer that question confidently when we know that and when we truly believe it. But it may take a little bit of diving deeper, to see what we've partnered with. And actually, Pam, I don't know if you're still on, but I'm super excited. Pam's actually going to be our guest coming up next week. And she has just been so instrumental in my life, and I can't wait to see what she shares with you all, because I know whatever it is, it's going to be super good. And she really, really has a gift in helping others get free from mindsets and things that they've partnered with. And, so sometimes it's easy for us to just say one thing or just to quote a scripture, but in reality, there's so much more depth and healing that needs to come through that too. And so I'm super excited, Pam. I can't wait to see what you have to say next week. But let's go through. I wanted to go through that, the scripture I mentioned earlier in Matthew 5, and it's actually from the Sermon on the Mount. So I'm just going to read through here. This is going to be chapter 5, verses 3 through 11, I believe. No, through 12, actually. Okay. So God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for Him, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. So those of you that maybe the holidays isn't feeling like a joyous time for you right now, be reminded of that He blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God blesses those who are humble or meek, what we just talked about, for they will inherit the whole earth. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied. God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. And that's going to tie into what we're going to wrap up this message with tonight. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses you when people mock and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you, because you are my followers. So this is actually Jesus saying these things. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. And that's always something that I think about. We don't ever need to be afraid, because He's with us always. And so I just love that. But one of the things that, even though the message was really going to be more on presence, I did just feel led, like kind of a change in gears here, really just to bless any of you right now, just in your relationships. I was actually in a class with Pam, and we talked a little bit about expectations. And this is an area where I know, I have really, really struggled with finding peace in. And it's funny, because when we look at other people, when we look at our interaction with other people, really think of it like a mirror. And this is something that I've learned from her, is, a lot of the times the things that we see in others, or maybe the things that we tend to pick apart in other people, is really a reflection of what's going on inside of us. So if you are struggling with possibly even setting high expectations for people around you, maybe it's for your child, or maybe it's for your spouse, maybe it is, I know there's a lot of you in direct sales in here, so maybe it's somebody on your team or your upline or your downline, really ask yourself, where do I show up in this way? Are you somebody that puts high expectations on yourself? right? Because sometimes I know I'm so guilty of that. Like recovering from the performance and just never feeling like, when is enough enough? And so when we partner with that and we feel like that, we can put those high expectations on ourselves. And a lot of times not even knowing, we get on this journey, and I have to be reminded of that, like this humble me, please, God, because I can get like that, especially as I'm trying to grow in something good, spiritual growth or personal growth. I have to be reminded of that sometimes. Like God has been like, hey, slow your roll, Miriam, just because you are out here doing this good thing, it does not mean that you are allowed to go and place these expectations on others around you. And so I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but I really, really felt like it was something I needed to hear. And then I heard somebody else just talk about it. And I thought, okay, I really feel like this is a message that we all probably need to hear, or at least one person watching this probably does. So I just hope that blesses you to know that, really having expectations for others will be something that causes us our peace, okay? Because other people are not our responsibility. Unless you're a parent, there are those lines to that, obviously, keeping little ones safe and all of that. But at the end of the day, our children are his children too, right? So there's even a line in that. And so more than anything, if nothing else for you to take away from tonight is just working on that presence, finding peace and just being more present and letting go of all of the things that are expectations that you feel put on you from others, but then also letting go of the expectations that maybe we're putting on people around us, right? We want to be freed up of the expectations that others have placed on us, and we also should be able to free up the expectations that we put on others. All right. So I hope that is something, like I said, I just really felt at the very last minute. It's probably why it's not very scripted, because I just felt like we had to talk about expectations tonight. But anyways, ladies, I cannot wait for next week. Like I said, stay tuned. I believe we're going to go live at 8 on Monday. I need to double check. I think it's going to be 8 Central Time. Like I said, I had to go a little bit later tonight because I was in a class. But you will not want to miss. It's going to be so good. Pam is just so amazing. I love her so much. She's one of my greatest mentors, and y'all are just going to seriously get your cups filled up and be so blessed. So don't miss out. I'll post the details for that and the time for that, and it will be Monday night, the 16th. So be looking out for that. And as far as this week, guys, just blessings as you continue to walk throughout your peace journey, and just be asking yourself, are you at peace with where God has placed you? And if not, ask him, how can I get there? What are the expectations that I'm putting on myself? What are the expectations that I feel others have put on me that's causing me to lose my peace? And what are the expectations that I'm putting on others that I just need to hand over to you because it is stripping me of peace because I'm trying to take control in this certain area? All right? Because at the end of the day, I want y'all to all be able to get to that call next Monday and be able to say, yeah, I feel at peace with where I am right now. I feel at peace with where he has me. I might not have the answers to everything, but I know that he does. So have a blessed night, everybody. Love you, ladies. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, of course, make sure you just message me. Post it here. I love hearing your takeaways. And I'm also going to be posting a link for that email campaign. I know a few of you have asked me for that, so I will make sure to get that out to you all. Okay? But have a blessed night, everybody. And I'll talk to you soon. Love y'all. Bye.